Joining me tonight on the Artist Eye, A.J Chmilar. Sorry, I got that wrong. I forgot. Forgot how to pronounce it.
That's okay. I still get it wrong. What's up, man? Hi, I'm A.J Chmilar. What's going on?
Chmilar. Sorry. You
That's
just
okay.
told me and I forgot. Feels bad, man. How you
Okay,
doing,
man.
AJ?
No worries. Good, 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 good. My whole day has been spent on video calls of some kind today.
Oh
It's
yeah?
been it's cool, but it's weird. I only exist in digital space now.
Yeah, I saw you post saying that.
Yeah.
Everybody really only exists within digital space now, I guess, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
It's a world of video calls and, you know, emails.
Everything.
Yeah.
Virtual everything.
So you just released a new EP with your band,
Yeah,
Words Like
yeah, dude.
Wildfire.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, classic tragedy. It's the second five song we've got now, but it's cool. We're really excited about it. It's funny too. It was it was a collection of really eclectic songs, and they all ended up being really together. It's weird because the one that we were it wasn't the throwaway song, but it was the one that we kind of worked on the least and is actually the only one in a major key is Shake the Fear, and now is we have a Kellin Quinn feature on that one, which is insane.
Yeah,
And we're super thankful for that and incredibly grateful for that. And he was a great guy to work with and all of those things. But yeah, no, we finally got it out, and it came out later than we wanted because coronavirus and all of that. But it
yeah,
also a bunch of the stuff came out earlier than we thought it was going to because we figured we'd be playing shows. We thought we'd book, at least a few weekends or something to kind of take the new songs on the road and show them to everybody. But not so
yeah.
much, not so much.
Then the big wave hit, huh?
Yeah, yeah, and it's been very different. It's been crazy amount of adaptation. So I mean, digital shows and all this streaming stuff is definitely here to stay, as we were talking about earlier, and all that. Whether live shows come back to normal or not, that's there to stay. So there's going to be that new era anyway, which is great, which I welcome. But I do miss being able to get a bunch of people in a room and have a live show. Like
Yeah,
there is nothing like that. There's
yeah.
there's nothing that can replicate that other than that. So yeah.
I was watching the interview on Drivewire, I think it was, and they were talking about, how I think you mentioned it, how
Yep.
you'd be surprised if somebody didn't already integrate the IP of
Hmm.
you know live shows online
Yeah,
and
man.
taking a door cover and everything like that. And
Yep.
yeah, I mentioned that I've seen Trivium recently did that with a
Yep.
show. He
July
said he
Talk's
rented it
doing it
in.
as well.
Oh, are they? Yeah,
Yeah,
no, they're doing a drive-in theater, an actual drive-in
they're
theater, right?
they are, but they're also selling stream keys. So if you live in, Dubai and you happen to love them, and you're obviously not going to make it to some drive-in in Ontario, you could buy a stream code and go and sit in your underwear and watch on your laptop. So
Right, eh? That'd be
yeah,
awesome.
it's gonna be the new thing. Like it's whoever has the ability to stream their like sure there'll be live shows, but then have that 360-degree camera set up, have it connected to whatever your broadcast software of choice is, and sell admission to that link. Sell
Right?
that link. Sell individual QR codes. It can only be used once. I don't know.
Yeah,
Just sitting here making stuff up. I've come up with three different ways you could do it. So I imagine
You
someone
could
much
do
smarter
like a
than me could.
Patreon and do one show a
Yeah,
month,
for sure.
something like that.
Yeah, for so much a month you get access to this stage and that a stage, and you can go behind the scenes, or you can have your own mix or whatever. Like that wouldn't be hard to do either if all the feeds were different. You could be like, oh, you know what? I only want to hear this guy sing, and I want to hear the snare drum because I'm trying to learn it, or it's just interesting to me, or whatever.
Yeah, they had a feature
Realistically,
like
you could
that
do that.
on
Yeah.
one of my dad's Rolling Stones DVDs, where you could sort of just zoom
Cool.
into each of their, like a camera that was focused on like Keith Richards or whatever. It was
Okay.
pretty neat. So
But it would kind of cut the feed. It would pare the feed down to what you were looking at is mostly what you were hearing.
yeah,
That's
well,
super cool.
they cut it down. So
That's
yeah,
super cool.
raise the audio levels to what Keith was playing.
That's really freaking cool, man.
Yeah,
I'd watch the hell out of that. Like I'd nerd out on that. Like even if you just like get everybody's monitor mix, just be like, okay, what's this guy listening to? Like what does he want to hear while they're playing this song? Like that's fascinating to me. I think
yeah.
that'd be dope. Yeah.
I think it would be cool if you could just like, for a live mix, you could just record all the stems and then for a
Yeah,
DVD. You just have all the stems built out, so you could do
absolutely.
that. It'd be
Yeah,
really
I mean,
cool.
that'd be so cool. Well, and I've kind of toyed with that idea of like when my buddies come, just my friends who are also musicians are at shows, and they're like, I want to hear what's in your monitors. And realistically, you could. Like, it's just a headphone jack into my pack. So if I
Yeah.
split it, or if I had a Bluetooth or whatever, you could hear what I hear. It would probably be really boring because it's just a click track and my voice, so it's not
Yeah.
anything you wouldn't hear. But I don't know, maybe that's interesting to somebody. But that's something that would be even easier to do in a live stream capacity because I wouldn't even need to connect it to me. I just split the feed out of there's a headphone jack on the transmitter, and it would
Right.
just be something we plug right into I could plug it right into my phone. But yeah,
Yeah, that's true too.
yeah.
There's lots of things you could do with that.
I could just go Instagram Live just straight into my headphone jack. It's like all you'd hear is beep, boop, 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 and me screaming at you, but it would work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never actually tried anything like that or split it out of the console.
Yeah, and would be essentially what we would do because that's all of our in-ears really are right now is they're just an ATA case of their own, and instead of having the venue do anything, we just say, okay, give me the mic cable. We plug the mic cable in and then give them a mic cable back and say, okay, do with that what you normally like. They don't have to do anything. It's just self-contained and it feeds to us, and they get front of house sounding however they want, and they don't even need to worry about stage wedges. We just deal with everything. So with that system, we have pretty much every in and out on our stage, so we could be like, okay, as long as we had a mixer that could condense it all to one relatively manageable stereo signal, we could just throw it in a phone, and that could be our Instagram Live broadcast. I mean, I say it like, oh, it's just. There would be a lot of plugging and
there's a lot of
prodding and
technical
trying to get
difficulties.
trying to
There's
get
stuff
some
going on, but
signal and all that, but
yeah,
it would work.
yeah, it would
Yeah.
work for sure.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the if you can, the third video in the trilogy that you
Yeah,
have.
oh for sure. No, I'd love to. We shot all three in 3 days. At my parents' house. Thank you, Mom, for feeding and housing and laundering all the we soaked our two leads, and there's a shower scene. I don't know if you guys have seen it or not because I don't remember what order we shot it in, but they're in the shower and the water's on, and it's all very dramatic.
There is, yeah,
Um,
that's the second one.
yeah, and it's all a blur to me because it's just
Yeah,
one big story in my
the
head.
one weekend, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, everyone who worked on that, they just poured their heart into it for us, and we were asking total strangers to be emotionally naked on camera for a band they've never heard of, for music they probably haven't listened to yet, and it was crazy. But no, the third video is the not so happy conclusion.
Hmm.
I mean, it is called Classic Tragedy, so not everyone dies necessarily, but it isn't all sunshine and rainbows. We're trying to be not macabre, but realistic. Like the good guys don't always win,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Well,
That's
it
just
focuses
how it
around
goes.
like many different classic tragedies, mental
Right.
health and
Exactly.
drug addiction and stuff like that. Speaking of which, I'd like to take a second to push my fundraiser, which is
Oh
running
yeah,
until the end of this
absolutely.
weekend for mental health. There's a
Yes.
link in chat for that for anybody
Not
on
donated.
YouTube. It's
Go
on
and
the
donate.
screen, but it's only until July 25th, I think.
This side, I guess it's
It's
this
no,
side,
it's the
'cause I'm
opposite
in the
side.
middle. Is it
Well,
this
it's down
side?
below you technically,
For
but
Twitch, it's here. For YouTube, it's
no.
probably
Well, I have it on my
here.
screen, so it's right below you.
All right.
It's
Well,
it's there. You
Yeah.
can see it. The people can see it.
yeah,
They can see it.
yeah.
All right. So anyway, let's get on with this.
Yeah, man.
I really liked those videos. They were shot very well.
Thank you, brother.
Um,
Yeah. It's Alex McFarlane, The Trenches.
and you said which one of you wrote most of the songs on that? You said
Avery.
it was. Oh, okay, it was Avery. Okay.
Avery is
Um,
the instrumentally is the driving musical force behind that EP in particular, and
Yeah.
a lot of new stuff.
He was. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't click until after you said Avery's name.
No worries.
That he was. I was watching the Drivewire interview, and they were talking about how he wrote most of them, and
Yeah.
sorry, how they came to him, and I found it very interesting the way he said he works. Like, one day he was really like chipper about everything, and then the next
Yeah.
day he lost his job or whatever, so he wrote it in like a depression. So the
Yeah.
next song was quite a bit sadder than the last one.
Yeah, man.
So it feels like it falls into place when you're. I mean, I don't write too much music. A lot of what I do when I do musically, I just let shit fall into place and I record and I let it
Right
fall
on.
in.
Yeah,
And
improv. Oh, yeah.
I try to recreate something. If I hit something, oh, I like that, and I didn't do it quite right, I try to
How
recreate
did
it.
I do that, and what do I really want it to sound like? Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I
So I
demo a
got
lot. I
a
demo
few
so much stuff. I'll
things.
play this lead and be like, what was that? And then I gotta go relearn what I just played because it was
Yeah.
cool and I wasn't paying attention yet. Yeah.
You're not paying attention to yourself half the time.
Yeah.
You're just messing around.
Yeah, man.
Uh, I got a few things out there, but nothing like official. But
Right on.
I feel like when you're messing, or as I would call it, but what you would call writing, I guess the flow comes pretty naturally if you're I don't know, feeling the atmosphere. But
Yep.
if you're focusing on, oh shit, I want to write this song, I want to get something down. What am I going to write about? Then that's when you get the writer's block, or that's when you hit something that like sort of
Sometimes, yeah. I think other times there's like, especially now when we're in such a writing mode that we have been,
mm,
there's times where it's like you get a song stuck in your head. I say I get riffs stuck in my fingers where it's like until I put them somewhere, until they kind of live somewhere, I just forever keep playing them. Every time I pick up a guitar, I go to play them.
yeah.
And especially when I find that, and then I get that, okay, I want to write a song. I need to put this somewhere. I need to, yeah, that block comes, but I think part of growing as just being able to write is being able to just make something. Just pick up the Lego pieces you have there and just make something out of it. It doesn't have to be great. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be fucking finished. Really, at that point. Like it's just get it done. Get
You
it to
said
exist.
pick
And then
up
you
the
can,
Lego pieces. I recently did this to my
ooh,
my looper.
oh,
I
that's
put
dope.
a Lego piece on it. I took the
That's
cover
too
off of it
sick.
so I could use it as a desktop looper. And
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah. Guitar volume knobs work very well if you ever lose one of those too.
oh yeah,
I've
I do
learned in a
actually have
pinch.
an extra one
Yeah,
of those. I never thought of that.
yeah, they work
Good
nicely.
point.
Whatever you can find.
Yeah,
I'm a
I
firm believer in if it looks stupid but it works, it ain't stupid.
yeah. My
Yeah.
son had a piece of Lego. He was lying around or whatever. Well, rather, there was a big bin of it, and I just saw that piece, and it matched the red, and I was like, "Oh,
Oh, it's perfect. There you go. Can't argue with that.
that
It's awesome.
works."
No, if it's not custom, it's broken, man. That's
Right.
I would say. Oh, I mean, you have a guitar that I painted sitting behind you is proof positive as to well, I can't leave anything well enough alone.
Oh, it's not lit up well enough to put on the screen, but
It's all good.
actually, you know what?
I can see a little galaxy poking out there. Yeah, it's even on a shirt. That's so cool. I love that shirt.
It's one of my favorites. I
Grab
have
one of those.
I have another one with my Gibson on it, but might as well shoot that out in chat too. That's available.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you
Anyway,
don't already, go grab some merch.
yeah.
Get yourself some merch.
I mean, there's
You need
also
a new
merch
t-shirt.
at
You've been wearing the same t-shirt for the last 3 months. I know you have. I haven't done any goddamn laundry. Go buy a new t-shirt. Go on.
I did
Go
some
on.
laundry today, but
Same, to be honest.
there's also some merch at the Words Like Wildfire website, which I
There
just posted
is.
in chat
We
as
just
well.
dropped a bunch of new really cool stuff. We got flags, we got masks, we have fanny packs, which I may just have to rock because it's like a faux pas to wear your own band's merch, I guess. But like, the fanny packs are sick.
And you know what? I don't
Brandon,
know
they're
if
gonna fight over who's gonna wear that. I think
Morrissey wore Smith shirts all the time. Okay.
This is Morrissey though.
All right, you got a point there. All right. But I'm fond of the Rain shirt actually.
That's a cool one.
The one with the Grim Reaper on it and the umbrella.
That's a dope one, yeah. Oh, I forget. Oh, I'm such a dick. I forget the artist name that made that, but he was amazing. He just was like, hey, I want to make stuff because I want to make band stuff. Will you post this for me? You can just have it, basically. We're like, oh my, yeah, dude, thank you. Oh my
Oh, that's
God.
awesome.
So yeah, he's tagged in the post that's in. So please go find that. I'm a dick for not remembering your name. I'm sorry. You're wonderful, and I love that piece of art. I want that as a pin. I think that would be a dope little like.
Yeah, like a little
Remember when
lapel pin.
enamel pins were sick? Yeah,
I have a bunch of them. I collect them all
Yeah.
the time. Yeah.
I have a bunch stuck in my guitar case because I don't have anywhere else to put them, so I just stick them in the little like door of my guitar case.
That's a good idea. I have a cool jacket with a bunch of patches on it. I put them in there.
Nice.
So let's what do you want to talk about, dude?
I don't know. We hit the merch. We've been talking about music. It's been a crazy ride, man. Like just trying to figure out like, okay, do we rush out all the marketing? Do we just get it out there and see what it can? Because then there's like the okay, now what? Like we
Yeah.
were kind of blessed in the sense that like we had this album done, so we were like, okay, let's excuse me, let's stack up some content. Let's get some videos made. Let's do that like silly hardcore chubby bunny. Let's like we've got friends like you that have put like you and Hodder and Drivewire guys who all have their podcasts going established, or they're starting one and they're nice enough to have us on, and it's like, okay, like we can kind of keep some steam going, like this is great. But all the usual stuff where it's like, okay, we're gonna go buy a couple hundred copies of each of those t-shirts and however many albums we need, and we're gonna get in a van and go and sleep in Walmart parking lots and stuff. It's like we can't do that.
Yeah.
We can't. I'd love to, but like even if there were venues that were open, I wouldn't feel good asking a bunch of strangers to come and watch us scream at them. Like, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, right now it's the world's in a strange place, and
Yeah.
we're all in a strange predicament. I was even asking you about your merch because some of it was
Yeah.
taking a little while. You don't even have physical copies of the new EP yet, do you?
I think most of the stuff that we have now is actually print to order. So when you create your order, it's actually made for you, and a lot of the reason behind that was kind of the pandemic. Like we didn't want to have it sitting just and maybe being handled by 100 people. Like we'd rather it just be like, you order it, it's pressed in a thing, it's put in a bag, it's put in a box, it's put in the mail, and it's
Right.
like it doesn't come to me and then to Ian and then it this guy touches it and then it goes and sits in this box and it goes to no, it just goes from where it's made to you as best we can, and that may take a little while. But we've got some bundles and stuff that we're trying to get together that will marry the physical copies with the actual merch, because I feel like the people who still want physical copies are also hopefully likely going to want some merch to go with it, I hope. So that's something that we're trying to get together right now. I think I've been on the 400 series highways all day today, so I've just kind of been in and out of group chats. But I think those are going. I think they should be up by Friday. Don't quote me on that, but I hope they should be up by Friday. But you should be able to get the album in CD form as well as digital form. We're working on getting it up on Bandcamp, but we're just trying to figure out if we're going to get a stack of albums and send them out, or if we're going to just have them be another item that can be made on demand. I don't even know if it is, because that's so not my department anymore. But yeah.
CDs I maybe could be made on demand, but I don't know. Are you doing a vinyl copy or no? Because those
I
definitely
don't
couldn't be
know.
made on demand.
I don't know those.
Maybe save a vinyl for a full length album.
I feel like that. Yeah, I feel like if we were gonna do one, it would be either retrospective, because this becomes like, if like, and Knockwood, this becomes some cult hit and people love it, and I mean it's only been out for a week, so I have no idea. But maybe if it blows up and people love it and there's a demand for it, then yeah, sure, we'll maybe get a limited vinyl. And if it's going to be special to someone, then yeah. But I don't think it's something that we necessarily need to do right now for a 5 song. Not that they're not great, not that I'm sure there's someone who's like, oh, but I really want it, and I love you for wanting that, but you're probably the only dude that wants one right now. Is the problem. So they're super hard to justify. But like, I'd love one. I don't even have a record player. I just want to have one. I just want to have something that I made that it's on by. Like, I have a Let Live record that I don't think I'm ever gonna open. I just have it to have it because I want to have it because it's dope, and it's probably gonna play longer than most of my CDs are, because those eventually wear out and tape demagnetize. But vinyl is like, as long as you don't melt it, pretty much.
Or give it to your children. Don't ever give vinyl to children.
Yeah, they don't bounce very high. Yeah,
no. They leave them on the floor too. They scratch all the thing.
That's bad. That hurts. That hurts to hear.
It does. It hurts. It hurts to watch. So I wanted to just bust this out for a moment and just tell the story of how we met.
Oh yeah, that's
recognize
right.
That.
Yeah, was that a Citrus Art Collective?
Citrus Art Collective show. Yeah, I bought that for $10, and that spawned.
That was one of the first ones I ever did.
Interest.
I think that was like my watching YouTube, just being like, I think I can kind of maybe figure this out, and I did 3 or 4. That wasn't the first one, because the first one was on a Lucky Charms box.
Yeah.
So it's not that one, but yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it was on a Lucky Charms box for sure, but it was definitely. I mean, all of your paintings were laid out on that table, and I was drawn to them because I'm into space. I'm into the cosmos. That ceiling fan that's spinning above me actually has like a spacey design on it. It's like
just like the glow. Do you have the glow stars on it?
No,
Oh,
They
that'd be
we used to
trippy.
have glowy stars in my kids' room, but they have bunk beds, so they
Mm,
ripped them all off the ceiling.
yep,
It's
yep.
always fun. But the I was always into space, so as much of the spacey stuff as I could get, or purple stuff, because chair's
Yeah.
purple, the
Hell,
walls are
hell
purple,
yeah, man.
my Xbox is purple, my controllers
A
are purple.
purple Xbox? That's dope.
Yeah, it's a
That's
special one.
dope.
Um,
Nice.
so I
I
like
do
I like
custom
the color
controllers
purple.
too, just saying.
Yeah, but I like the color purple, and space in those scenes where you see a lot of like purple in the background and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
man.
I've always loved those. I used to have a like a folder that went through my backgrounds. Just
Hmm.
scrolled through it, and it was just
All
like
the
purple
galactic
spacey
art
stuff.
and all that. Oh yeah, that one. That's what drew me to that spray paint type
Yeah,
of art. Is there's Porfirio Jimenez. He's this guy in Mexico, and he works at resorts doing that for tourists. And he's so laid back and chill, but he's an absolute assassin. Like he's just so good, and he makes it look effortless, like
yeah,
completely. It makes it look like he's making a mess, and then he lifts his hands up, and it's just this beautiful Saharan landscape with like the most detailed. Like it's just he's unreal with spray cans and garbage. Like he literally uses just balled up newspaper, and he makes the most beautiful stencil. It's crazy. So I watched him and just smoked a bunch of weed and watched a bunch of YouTube videos and was like, yeah, I could probably do like a really hobbyist version of that. I could, yeah, all right. And I just love doing it. Like it's just really fun. Like yeah, I'm trying to be a musician. I'm trying to, somewhat monetize that art, and I do love it. I live and I breathe it. But like the art, and I thank you for buying it, and I thank you for supporting me. But like I only ever, and I have this rule with myself that if somebody buys a painting, I immediately go and use that money to go buy more paint, and I don't use it for anything else. So that art can just kind of feed itself, and it can always exist. So I
that's
can
a
just
good
like,
rule.
yeah, and so I don't go and like blow it on a six pack, and I don't go and buy picks and strings and whatever with it. It's like no. Like, yeah, but like a crappy can of hardware store paint. It's all you need. Like it's all paint. Like I don't need any crazy. It's gonna stick to concrete for 25 years or whatever. It's like, bro, it's going on somebody's wall. Like it's not gonna rain inside. Like it's fine.
Yeah,
So just, yeah, every time I saw one of those, it's like, okay, go buy another can of black or another can of white because you always need that, or like find something cool. Like because I'm same with you. I love that like iridescent sparkle galaxy splatter blue fades into purple, fades into black, fades into white. I love that whole aesthetic.
hmm
So when I find like those color shift spray paints, I just like if I go into a store that has those with money, I will leave with paint and no money.
yeah,
It's just there. It's I love them. It's great. I just that sound of a shaking spray paint can. I'm just like, you said what? Can I play? Can I play? I want to play. I
it's
love it.
justifiable though. You can make an art in every different ways, just sort of like an experience in itself. It's like
Absolutely.
you know, as a whole, just creation process.
Yeah.
It makes you feel more things than you can feel in a day if you're sitting there bored.
I absolutely agree. Absolutely. Yeah. The you can go from total joy to complete frustration to yeah. And instantly. Like you think, "Oh, I screwed up what I wanted to do," and but wait, that's actually really dope and
Yeah,
I'm super happy about it now. And or completely the other way. You're like, "Oh, this is super cool." And then you look at it 5 minutes later, it's like, "It's terrible. What was I thinking?
yeah,
I hate this. Why
and,
did I do
and
this?"
that range of emotions too is
Yeah.
another thing that you can experience just doing something like that. You don't
Absolutely.
doesn't even have
Absolutely.
to be art. It doesn't
No.
just creating something or even having a thought like
Yeah.
a thought experiment. You can run a thought experiment in your head rather than being bored. It's still kind of in a sense it's creating because the thought is
Yeah. It's like
it's
running on a
valid
treadmill.
enough.
It's like running
Yeah,
on a treadmill. It's like, do you go anywhere? It's like, no, but you're activating all the same muscles. You're doing all the same things. You're using it as opposed to just sitting there kind of letting it atrophy. You're engaging it some way. And we were
exactly.
talking when we were doing some testing chatting and whatever, but of the whole like monetizing art and how like so many people are like afraid to do stuff they like to do because they're not the best at it, and like I hate that. I hate that people like I hate the idea that someone out there isn't singing at all because they're not the best at it, or someone refuses to draw, they love to do it. It brings them joy and they love doing it, and they want to do it, but they don't do it because they're not some genius. It's like, you know how you get better? You do it a whole bunch of times and you suck at it for a while, and then eventually you get better at it.
Yeah.
And even if you don't, if you still love doing it, just do it because you love it. Like I don't get the whole like, oh, I can't sell my art, so I don't want to do it anymore. It's like, man, like why? Like that just, I don't know. It hurts to hear. Like when anybody says I used to, and then you insert anything that's just an activity, like
Mm.
singing and dancing and drawing and all those things. It's like those can be monetized. Like great, if you've got a skill at that and people are willing to pay you to go do it, like friggin' rock on, power to you. That's what I aspire to do. But like that shouldn't be the first reason you do it. It shouldn't be the only reason you do it, but it certainly shouldn't be the first reason. Like I want to do this to be rich. It's like, well, then you're never gonna be.
Right.
Sorry.
And that's another thing about like being a content creator that I worried about, like approaching Twitch. When I approached Twitch,
Yeah.
I was worried that, people were going to think that I'm here to make money or something like that. I don't know if you're on my Twitch channel right now, but it says at the bottom of my
I
screen,
am.
if I hit this goal, I can get an additional monitor. So I looked up a monitor, the cheapest
Right.
monitor I could find, because I got a big empty space right here, and I could have
Right.
a third screen, and I could be able to monitor everything I need to, because I got like 12 things open that I need to
Yeah.
have behind other things because I can't
Oh
see
yeah.
them. Got to have
Oh, I
everything
get
else
it.
open.
Oh,
So
I
I
get
mean,
it. Just trying to stream Xbox alone is a nightmare. I can't.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't like you were saying. I'm not trying to take any donations to like go buy a 6-pack or anything like that. I'm
Right.
putting
It's,
it right
I'm
back
literally
into
gonna
the
put it right back into the thing, into the hobby, whatever, or the business, whatever you want to call it. You put it back into the entity that's creating it. For
exactly.
sure. Yeah.
I think that's a good way to go about things. I mean, I didn't consciously, think of that and that phrase or anything like that. When you said it like that, it hit me. I'm already kind of doing that, aren't I?
Yeah. Well, and I
Maybe not
think
me.
that's no, but I think that, but I think that's a kind of a good, that's a good check on it, where it's like, okay, no, but like, so you are making an honest go of it. Like you're doing it because you want to. Like if you had infinite money and you could just go and do all the things, yeah, you'd have this rockin' ass set up and go and do it. Sure, fine,
Yeah.
but you don't. So you start with what you've got, and then if, oh hey, I really like what you do, yeah, here's $5. I want it. I want you to get a little better. And if you can get 10 people to source you $5, it's like, well, you're friggin' quarter of the way to a decent little monitor there, aren't you? There you go.
Right.
And it's, I think that's the huge power of this incoming era, where there's going to be that gap when venues do start opening again. There's going to be this backlog of these big shows that have to still happen because there's
Right.
all these contracts that have been signed. They have to happen. So all the smaller fish aren't going to be able to get into those ponds, if you will, for a while. But now that there's this streaming and there aren't shows filming and people have kind of run out of the other media to consume, those that do rise to the top and have an established stream and have kind of like the Patreon model going on, it's like you could crowdsource yourself a career in the next few months if you're smart about it. You
Yeah.
really could. It's much more possible now, I think, than it's ever been, because so many people are just attached to their screens ever more, and not necessarily for working from home or business. It's literally to consume new and different medias, because the older ones aren't there anymore. There aren't, like, radio stations don't have concert tickets to give away because there aren't concerts,
Right.
and like there aren't movie premieres. Like TIFF is going to be, like, they even just announced, they're like, yeah, like maximum of like 50 people in a venue at any given time, and these are massive, huge, giant gala things, and they're like, yeah, there's only going to be like 50 people in the seats.
Hmm.
And it's, but they have to. So it's like, but it's this adaptation. Some stuff isn't going to survive, and it's just not going to look the way it did. Like maybe we'll call it the same thing, but a concert is going to look very different
Yeah.
until or
Everybody's
unless
going to
there's some
be.
kind of vaccine, or like Avery put it well. We were on another live a little bit earlier. I was like, until there's basically the equivalent of like Advil cold and so, like, until there's like Advil COVID and sinus, it's not going to be just a, oh yeah, it's not just going to be like a casual thing to go and be in a crowd of hundreds of people you don't know in a city you've never been in before. Like it's crazy. Yeah,
Hammy in chat
I mean,
is
that's
saying
exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right, dude.
Twitch fills
Yes,
the void. Two
it is
voids,
exactly that.
missing content and the void of human connection. Yeah,
And
that's
it's
very
both.
true.
It's not, and not only do you get that connection, but you can now connect with the people who are creating the content you love.
Yeah,
So
and
like, yeah,
directly
you could,
too.
and directly, exactly. It's like, yeah, you could always see the same faces on your favorite show because of the actors that are on the show, but now you can like, your favorite content creator is gonna know your name. They're gonna see that same name be in chat, and it's like if you come to that community with goodwill, you come to that community and join it. It's like you're gonna be a memorable part of that community, especially to the person who's creating that, because that community means the most to the person who's on the other side of that lens. It has
Exactly.
to. It has to, or they wouldn't be there. So like if you're an integral part of that, you're gonna be remembered, and you're gonna be a mod in chat or an admin, or you can help with the behind the scenes, because the bigger it gets, the more you need people on the payroll. You need a crew. It's like we're lucky as a band to have a label. Are they a massive giant conglomerate? No, my god, no, not by any means, but they're two really dedicated dudes at the end of the day who understand what is necessary, have the resources, have the ability, and they're doing it. They're doing the label thing kind of at the level we're doing the band thing, where it's you're taking yourself seriously, and you're understanding that, yeah, there are dues you have to pay, there are certain hoops you're going to have to jump through as the little fish, but there's also some stuff that you kind of have to grow out of and not do and say no to and learn about. And they've done that, and they've really taken a lot of pressure off of us, and they've gotten us opportunities that we wouldn't have gotten on our own. And I really, really, truly thank them for it, because it's been stressful, but it's nice having essentially 6 people, 7 people in the band, in a 4-piece band. You have those other voices to be like, I don't know if this is the greatest idea, or no, that content is funny, make more of that, that's good. Like if you need a soundboard to bounce stuff off of, like this is good, but like these videos take 4 hours to edit. Do I bother making another one? Because it's a lot of friggin' work. Like, is this gonna be worth doing? And it's nice
Yeah,
to have someone who can just look you in the eyes and be like, no, it's
bounce the
cringe.
idea
It's
off of.
it's cringy. Don't do that again. It's like
Right.
I love you, but don't make any more of those. They suck. You know what I mean? But it's not with a hurtful intent. It's just like, I don't want you to waste your time, and I don't want you to embarrass yourself. It's like, don't do that again. Or on the flip side, yo, why are you self-conscious about that? That was friggin' hilarious. Do that again. Please do that again. That was funny. I want to see more of it. When you're unsure. And a lot of good artists are very unsure of themselves. I feel like that's kind of a common thing, where it's that imposter syndrome, where it's like you get all these people listening and you're just like, oh no, I fooled them somehow into thinking I'm good. It's like, no, you idiot. Like, they're here because they like you. You wouldn't have followers if they didn't want to. It's much easier to not press the button than it is to press the button. Trust me.
Yeah. And I feel like honesty is one of those things too. Like you were saying, it's one of those things that has to be important in not just a band, but I guess with your label too.
For
And
sure.
like everybody's got to tell you the truth, or if they don't, then you're going to make a decision that's going to screw them over too, right? So it's not
Right.
just about you; it's about everybody that's in the band, everybody that's involved with the band, the
That's
whole
it.
process around it, the record label, everybody you're dealing with.
Yeah, man.
But I have one of your older album here, your older EP,
Yeah.
Quarter Life Crisis.
Yeah, man.
Throw that up there. And that can be found also over at the website, can't it? In streaming,
It is on all streaming
Spotify.
platforms. It's on Spotify. It's on Google Play. It's on Amazon Music. It's on Deezer. I think the only streaming one we're not on is Tidal. I
Yeah,
think. I think it's the only
I
one we're
don't
not.
think I don't think I saw that logo up there. I saw
Maybe
most of
not.
them.
Maybe not Pandora. I don't know. One of them. But most places, if we've done our job, you should be able to type words like wildfire into pretty much any search bar, and we should pop up.
But Classic Tragedy is out as well. That came out on July 17th, right?
Yes, sir.
Um, what's next with this? Do you do any form of like meditation or anything, AJ?
Not as much as I used to when I was younger, and I was more solitary. Like, I'm living with a partner, and she's on nights, and I'm on weird hours because I don't have a job, so I'm trying to be in 18 time zones at once. It's something that's been less of a habit in my life, but I used to. My friend of mine that I was in a band with when we were like 13 to probably 18, he discovered binaural beats, and I don't know how great their actual efficacy is. I'm not qualified to actually muse on that, but just having that tone to kind of zone out on, and both be in that on that wave, literally on that wavelength, and to meditate and to clear your mind, but also to have somebody who you trust enough to just kind of be, like I was saying earlier, just be that kind of emotionally naked with, and just be comfortable to be completely silent, and to just breathe, or to make weird noises if you have to, or to just sit in a quiet room. it's it's not something that I, even when I'm alone, I'm almost self-conscious to do it alone. Like, it's weird. um the short answer to your question is no, and I wish I did more, because I used to.
Mm.
um but no, I feel like meditation for me isn't so much the classical sitting quietly, clear your mind. Like, I do a lot of mindfulness things before bed, like just notice all the muscles in my body from top to bottom. It helps me fall asleep. It helps with like restless legs and stuff like that. um but a lot of the meditation I do is I guess active. Like, a lot of it's during music practice, where I'll run. If I'm running scales, I don't necessarily try to run scales as much as do shapes, but get between them, and then really muse on that. Like, really go stupidly esoteric with, like, why does that sound good? Why do I like that? What does that relate to? Where else can that go?
Yeah.
How does that make me feel? What emotion does that elicit? When that's the first thing I hear and it goes here, how does that make me feel? Where can I lead that to? What causes tension going to that? What causes resolution coming from that? But really, really get to know, like, really personify chord shapes, really personify arpeggios. Like, Avery and I talk about colors a lot when we're writing music, and that's something that I really, I meditate on, I guess you could say, is when I'm listening to music, I'll describe it often in color palettes, or that it's pointy, or that it's very round, or that this feels very moist at this part, or this part gives me a very damp feeling. And, like, I guess to some people it could be a little bit, that's a little silly, I guess, but I mean it in earnest. Like, when I try to use those words, it's that is the best way I could describe how it makes me feel. Like, I don't know, some things I can even describe with taste, like that oh, that's such a sour note right there. Like, and I guess
Yeah.
that's an accessible way to phrase that. But there's yeah, there's all kinds of weird stuff like that I would consider meditation more, is getting a little deeper of things, maybe more than literal than I need to be. I guess sentences are hard, but you know what I mean. Like, I guess
Yeah.
maybe taking it a little farther than necessary, but at that moment it makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
just, yeah,
I
that's
get
kind of
that
my
for
way.
sure. A lot of the time, I feel that like at the moment in the present time, the thought makes sense,
Mhm.
but rehash it later. It's not
Yeah,
necessarily the same thought, even
right.
rather than just rethinking it. It's not even the
I know just
same.
what you mean. Yes, exactly though. Yes, exactly. It's like I can't get back to that same energy I was at, where this has the same weight, but it made perfect sense when I was thinking about it before.
The one of the things I was listening to an old lecture from Alan Watts. I think
Yeah.
either earlier today, and he said it might have been yesterday. He said thought is a means of conceiving truth,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
it, the thing that hit me about that is that when you're in the present state and you're here, the presence is defined as a state of existing, or the fact of existing or occurring,
Right.
um, and here, your being here now, the fact that you exist now in this moment is
Mhm.
true, and you know that's true,
Right.
and that's a fact of presence. So
Right.
when
Okay.
you have a thought and it passes through your head, that thought exists because you're thinking it. You know it exists, and it
Yeah,
comes
you were
into
thinking it in the
existence.
now and you know it. Yes.
Yeah, and just having a thought, and it occurs to you, oh wow, I'm bringing something into the world that wasn't here before. Now, when you're an artist, you do something that's transcending just having a thought. You bring that thought out of, this 2D world. You
Out of the
manifest it
ether,
into
if it
this
will.
3D
Yeah.
thing. Like for you, it's music, so it's not exactly 3D, but it's a virtual. It can be a virtual 3D. It's got
Yeah,
those
music
sound waves
music is
can
just
wash
how we
over you.
decorate. yeah, music's how we decorate time. You decorate space with art. You decorate time with music.
Yeah.
Um, but music too is a very interesting thing because I've heard a lot of artists say even that they don't necessarily write their songs. Like their songs already exist, they just write them down. They just transpose them from they're playing somewhere in the universe for these people. They exist somewhere in the background noise of the ether of this person's mind, and they simply have to tap into that and take that sap from the tree and put it down on paper or put it into a tab program or strangle it out of a guitar somehow. But it already exists in some way for them. They just have to decide where they're going to map that. And I've be honest, I don't know if I've ever experienced a song that's come to me in that way because my role, especially when it comes to songwriting, is very much more a decorative role. Like I'll take something that are like I'll take a house that already exists and kind of decide what color the walls are going to be, but I'm not building the whole house. And that's a lot of where I came. That's a lot of how I came at classic tragedy because a lot of it was finished already. Like um, in the sense there was already a structure, there was already a chorus, there was a lot of melody. Like Ian does a lot of the vocal melody, if not all of it, and a lot of the lyrics. Avery does majority of the instrument writing, and to his credit though, knows the way. He's very cognizant of the way that I would write a bass line anyway, and tends to leave that white space for me. Like there's a little scale
Mm-hmm.
walk up in the chorus of I Won't Forgive You that literally in the studio we're sitting there and as I'm tracking bass, he's like, "Oh, there's a thing here. I think you should play it because I hear it in my head, but it needs to be on strings, but it can't be a guitar." I'm like, "Yeah, it's boo doo doo be doo de doo right between the chorus." He's like, "Yeah, that." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, it's going in there. Don't worry. I've been humming that for a week." Yeah, and we heard the same thing. It's cool. So to know that there is that respect there of like,
Yeah.
okay, yes, this is the song. Yes, I need you to write to this. And because of the way he writes, there's only a few things that are going to fit, but the spaces he leaves are places I wanted to sit anyway.
Yeah.
There isn't some synth part in all the frequencies that my bass plays in, and it's like, okay, now I'm left with what am I supposed to play that's not already there? Like I don't need to do that. Um, and yeah, I mean, and I come from being a lead guitarist in a heavier, more of a melodic hardcore band than like a post-hardcore pop punk band that we kind of are. Like we're a little tiny bit lighter on our lighter side. But the newer stuff is the newer stuff that's beyond classic tragedy is much different. It's some of it's a lot heavier, some of it's a lot lighter. But not we're really making a concerted effort, I think, to not pigeonhole ourselves, to stay to stick with the sound, to have like you should be able to listen to something and say, oh, that's a Words Like Wildfire song.
Yeah.
But in the same way of like, I mean, I'm not going to try to compare us to the Beatles as far as talent goes, but that kind of runs the gamut of, yes, it's the same umbrella of music, it's still rock music, it's still psychedelic classic rock, but like you have things like Revolver, and then you have things like Lucy in the Sky, you have things like While My Guitar Gently Weeps, and you have things like Revolution. So they're very spectrum spanning. Or like Incubus, for example, is one of my favorite bands in the
Yeah.
world, and it's like, what genre is Incubus? Like, don't bother
Don't
answering,
define.
because no matter what you tell me, I can find you a song that proves you right and proves you wrong.
Right.
And that's kind of where I'd really like us to sit. I feel like that's kind of a lofty aspiration for uh, at the core being a hardcore band, like a melodic hardcore band or a pop punk band, but like being a dude band. That's a lofty aspiration, but so be it. I think I feel like that's where we want to be, is that we have uh, a nice crossover of similar but acutely different music tastes. Like you have like Brandon, who's very into Dance Gavin Dance and like that math rocky, very cerebral, very musicians music
Mm.
type of bands, and Avery as well. I mean, I love that stuff too. It's not the first stuff I go to, but when it's on, I love it. Um,
Yeah, but I heard bands say that they only want to appeal to like just musicians and stuff
yeah,
like that, and that's an interesting concept to me because like I mean, you don't necessarily have a point of view of your fans right off the bat, but I mean,
right.
you just want your fans to be the other people that make music. I mean,
I
that's
guess.
fine, but I mean, as far as I go, these bands that I've heard say this, I'm a fan of them, and I'm not necessarily somebody who makes music. Like I don't,
Right.
I've never put out an official album or anything like that. So, but
Yeah.
you know, it doesn't make sense to me how they feel like they only need to appeal to musicians or whatever.
I think that's a somewhat pretentious sounding way of saying, without saying I try to write the most technically proficient stuff possible to show off. Really? Like, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing necessarily, because like I probably can, I probably guess a few of the bands you're talking about, and I love them too. But to be honest, the reason I love them is because my mind gets blown every time I listen to these guys, because
Yeah,
there are so many layers. I think what's nice about those types of bands that are like bands, they're musicians bands, you can listen to them as a music fan and just appreciate the fact that, wow, these guys are great.
yeah,
Wow, they're good. Whether or not you can separate the one guitar from the other, or like hear that, ooh, he snuck in an extra 64th note on the end of the 19th bar of the fifth measure. Like, I don't know. But if you, whether you're listening to it at the absolute microscopic tiniest level or the 30,000-foot view, it's still really good. I
yeah.
think is the point, right? So it can be enjoyed either way. If the intention though is to be, it's basically just musician porn, really. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like,
Well,
that's great. I love that. But I'm the target audience.
I feel that way. You were mentioning people who have that in you know that when they're writing music, they just have it in their head or in the back of their mind or whatever.
Yeah, it
Um,
exists already. They just have to pull it out of the air.
Hammy here in chat. I don't know if he's still here, but he's a musician that does live looping on Twitch,
Right on.
and that stuff. I feel like it. Another guy that I watch, who's very good. His name is Aaron Goldberg. I'll give them a shout out actually, but they're very very good. Um, just live looping that. I was watching Hammy last
Yeah, me
night.
too.
This shit just comes in,
Yeah,
and
man.
for
That improv brain is something that is such an underrated thing, especially now in in guitar culture, with so many extended scales, and like there's lots of chops and there's lots of that, but there's there are some guys who are clearly very proficient at what they do, but there's not a lot of why. Why are you doing that? Do you know why you bent that? Do you know why you started your solo there, or is that just what you learned?
I
I,
feel
I don't
like
know.
it's like you say, it's like in the mind, you know. If you got
There's
it in the
chops and
mind,
there's soul. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
A
But
lot
that
of it's
improv
got to
brain, that
do.
ability to listen. Yeah, that a lot of, sorry, go ahead.
A lot of it's got to do with the like moods and just the state of
Mm-hmm.
being, like this state of mind and how you're feeling and whatever. And if you're sad and you're gonna write sad music, right? And you're gonna feel like you want to write sad music,
Yeah,
and that's how you're gonna feel. But if you're happy, you're gonna. I very much doubt that you're gonna just come across something in your head that's gonna sound sad that you're just gonna want to print out. You know, on like I said, on this sort of like 3D printing level of
hmm,
creating music. You know,
yeah,
but emotions drive us, and they like every day in everything that we do. I think you do something for somebody to see them smile or to make them happy, or you create something. I mean, when I create, I'm not necessarily thinking about anybody else. I'm trying to play music to make myself feel good about what I'm creating,
yeah,
and that's sort of my goal, is to make myself feel good about what I'm listening to. And
for
uh,
sure.
I heard George Lucas say one of the reason that he started making movies was because he wasn't seeing the kind of movie that he wanted to see in theaters.
Yeah,
So
yep,
he started making movies to create the kind of movie that he wanted to see.
yeah,
And I feel that's my approach to music. And it's not necessarily that I'm not hearing what I want to hear, because there's a lot of bands out there that I really love, and like
sure.
your band is one of them.
Thanks, brother.
I can't get enough of Painted Pictures. That song is incredible.
Thanks, man.
But um, as far as pleasing myself when I'm
Yeah,
listening to something, I have a hard time coming around to something. Like I'm not a musician,
sure.
so I don't know. I'm not very good with scales or notes or anything like that. I just run my hand down the neck and see what sounds good.
Yeah,
That's like the shirt says. I play guitar because I like
I
it,
like it.
not
Yeah.
because I'm good at it.
Well, and
So
that's where you start, man. Like everybody's like, and it's like, I think it's an Adventure Time quote. It's like the first step to being even kind of good at something is sucking at it entirely, but being willing to try. Like you have to be willing to try.
yeah,
So that's the difference.
The first step is always the hardest, I think, and that's
Oh, for sure.
definitely something that I noticed starting this podcast. I was all nervous about it, and that, like, not just this episode or anything like that, but the whole thing
Yeah.
in general. You know, and who's going to say yes to being interviewed on some
Right.
shitty little podcast from a guy in Brampton? But hey, everybody's you got to take a step. If you're
Exactly.
working on something, you got to take that first step, or else it's not going to go
Exactly.
anywhere.
Well, and
And
that's what we were talking about with the whole musical inspiration thing. When you have something, it's like, okay, I have to write something. I want to write something. It's like so much of it is just starting. Just kick yourself in the ass enough to put something in the DAW, put something on the paper, write a chord in your notebook and write some stupid like even if the lyric is like I like muffins but not with raisins, like, and that's where you start.
yeah,
But you got somewhere. It's like, but finished, not perfect.
I
It
try to
doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be finished.
I try to pump something out at least
Yeah.
once a day that sounds half decent and get
There you
it
go.
down in a DAW. And I mean, it's not going to necessarily go anywhere. It's not going to get put up or anything like that. But I try
No,
to at
but
least pump out something that's
right,
creative.
you can't edit something that doesn't exist.
Right.
So like, you can't change a song that you haven't written yet. You can't you can't make something better if it doesn't exist at all.
Yeah. And when you want, I don't know about you. I mean, we were just talking about having that image in your head. When you
Yeah.
want something, when you have that image in your head and you want that out.
Hmm.
I mean, I personally get when I'm working on music, if I start hearing something within a song, and I start humming it or whatever, and I go,
Yep.
okay, well, this isn't the right tone that I want. I'll start messing around with some shit, and I'll get to that right tone that you want.
Yep.
And I enjoy it so much that just flow of
Yeah.
just constant. You don't necessarily know what you're doing, but you know that you're doing. I mean, it feels like the right thing,
You need to enjoy
basically.
the process. That it can't be about it's such a cliche saying for a reason, but it's not the journey. It is the journey. It's not the destination, it's the journey. It's
Right.
you have to love the process of creating what you're making in order for that process to create something good. If you don't love the process, and even the days where you don't want to do it, you have to do it with love. You have to do it with that just the intention of getting it finished. And even if you're doing it with fucking hatred at that moment, at least do it with passion.
Right.
At very least. You know what I
The
mean?
passion should be in there for
Yeah.
sure. Should always do it with passion.
Yeah.
Because if you don't provide that passion to your creativity and you
Right.
don't
It
care
shows.
about it, then it's not
But it-
gonna it's gonna turn out like crap.
And it shows exactly. It comes out lackluster. It's like
Right.
if you wouldn't listen to it, if you wouldn't watch it, if you wouldn't hang it on your wall, if you don't enjoy it, how the hell do you get off expecting total strangers to?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's got to be to some level. Does it need to be perfect? No, but like get it to some level of like, okay, you're trying. Cool.
Yeah.
Like you made an honest go of that. Like right on. I see what you're going for. Did you nail it? Maybe not this time, but okay, cool. Like, and I respect that so much more. Like the days of super lo-fi recordings, but with a lot of heart, are kind of passing now because recording technology is so cheap, frankly. But like there was times where you could break through with a demo that was recorded on like just an SM58 in the middle of a room with four guys playing their instruments as loud as they could. But if it was really good, it was really good, and that
Right.
was all it needed to be. So, but I still think that spirit exists, whether it's a stream or a painting or something in your writing or whatever. It's just get it out there.
Yeah.
Get some form of it out there, because you can't make version 2 if you don't have version 1 out there. Like it's just like Avery, for example, sent us this. He's like, oh, I have this old song from my band, this last band I was in, and it was Painted Pictures. And it was
Wow.
and he's like, I don't know. He's like, I don't know about this one, whatever, because the band that he had showed it to before were like, yeah, we don't really like it, like whatever. So it just sat there. He just shelved it. But he's like, oh yeah, hey, I have this thing. Like, what do you guys think? And I listened to the demo, and it's like, dude, I love this. Like, this is exactly what we're trying to. Yeah, dude, like this is exactly the direction we're trying to go in. Like, amazing. Wicked. Like, I'm pretty sure it's these notes. Is it these notes? It sounds like these notes. It sounds like something I'd write. He's like, yeah, it's that. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I'm like, okay, I like where this is going. And The Rain was the first song that like, back up. The Rain was the first song that Avery wrote from scratch, having already been in Words Like Wildfire. So it's kind of the bridge between learning the Quarter Life Crisis songs that Eddie wrote, and Eddie's not in the band anymore, but learning that
Right.
era of music, and then being like, okay, this is where we are, and then seeing, okay, we've got, because we had classic pretty well in its infancy, but pretty well done. We had
Hmm.
painted pretty well done because it was art. Those were already kind of orphan songs from times past that we were breathing new life into. So it's like, okay, this is where we're going. This is where we're going, and then this is where we came from, and then the rain really bridges that gap, and then Shake the Fear is the only one in a major key. It's the only like happy key song, and it ended up being just kind of like, okay, we need a fifth song, and that was there, and now it's got the Kellin feature, and it ended up being so many people's favorite song.
Yeah, Kellin
With
Quinn. I
yeah,
was listening to you talk about that earlier. You said you're the one who had to adapt to sing his parts
yeah,
live.
I sing that part live, yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
That must be something to you
It's
can
it
reach that.
it's it sits right at the top of the comfortable part of my range, but I can do it. I can do it.
Wow.
Thankfully, the I have run this straight into the ground or whatever the last line is.
Yeah.
If it was sung the pitch that he screams on, it would be right to the highest one of the highest notes I can hit. But he thankfully he screams it, so I have some vocal distortion to save my ass at that part. I don't have to dig right in to get those. But it's yeah, no, it's cool. It was neat to have one not only have someone of that ilk say listen to your song and say yeah, that's one, I like that. Two, I like that enough to put my voice on it. Three, I'll do it in a day and I'll use your lyrics and pretty much your melody. Here you go. Like, of
Yeah.
course, he took his Kellin liberties with it, and we wanted him to. We expected him to, of course.
Hmm.
But I mean, but it was pretty well. I'd say 80% of Ian's lyrics, almost exactly. But then the other cool part was to get that and then to learn it and be like, huh, I can do that. Like I can perform a part that someone to whom I look up has written. They wrote that, and it sounds quite challenging. It sounds good, and it's like, I can do that.
Yeah.
I can hit that.
It must
I
be
can hang with that
a
guy. That's
great
cool.
feeling about that. Yeah.
It was cool. It's yeah, it's not something I'm looking forward to doing every single night. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm stoked to get back on stage, but we're definitely not opening with that one.
No.
No.
But it'll be fun to see you guys live when you get back out there.
I hope
Um,
and I'm hoping we get to the point where we can just get Kellin to do that live. We can go and play some shows with Sleeping with Sirens, and we can get ourselves on some bigger bills, and because
wouldn't
that's
that
always
be
the goal is
lovely?
to be the smallest band on a big bill, as opposed to, don't get me wrong, I love my buddies, I love everybody that we're peers with, and I want to play shows with them every weekend. But that, we all want to go up in the move up in the ranks, but I think you have a responsibility as an artist who does well, that if you do, you want to send that elevator back down. You know what I mean? And I think that was Kellen's doing those vocal features and working as closely with us as he did. I mean, he sat on Skype and just yacked with us for 40 minutes, and we were just being goofball band dudes together, because that's what he started as. He just started a band with a bunch of his friends, and people are singing his songs along with him now. Like, he did what am currently trying to do, but he's still just a normal guy. He's he lives his life. He's got his kids, and he does his vocal features, and he does his job, and that's what he does. And he's a normal dude. And he doesn't pretend to be anything other than a guy who likes to do what he does and likes to sing, and he's just really chill. And it was great to see someone willing to send that elevator back down, to be like, I've done well, and I recognize, like, real recognizes real. It's like, I see that you're working hard. I see that you've created something that I like enough to feature on. So yeah, of course I'm going to shout you out. Of course I'm going to say, hey, I worked with these guys. Yes, I'm going to work with you. Yeah, I'm stoked to share your video or do whatever. And it was nice. And I hope that we get to the point where we can do that, where we do have the clout to be able to, if I hear some band on my Discover Weekly, I now have the platform and the ability to just tweet their name once and give them 1,000 followers. I would love to be able to do that for someone. That's my goal. Like, I've always said to Ian, it's like, I don't care if we sell 1 million albums, or if we, can't keep our merch in stock or whatever. Those are all wonderful things, and I hope that happens. Of course I do. That I would love to succeed in that way. But that goal for success, that those goalposts are always moving, because it's like you sell 1 million records, it's like, okay, now you got to sell 2. You sell 2, it's like, okay, now sell 4. Then you sell 4, it's like, okay, so now sell 10. It's like that's just always but I have always said, when we get to the point where we all have in-ear monitors, but I want to get to the point where we play a venue, no matter how big it is, the crowd sings back to me louder than my in-ears can put my own voice back into my head every night. When we get to that point, no matter what song it is, when we get to that point, that's when I feel like, okay, we've made something that I feel like I can put on my tombstone now. Like, cool, all right, we've made something that means that much to me, means enough to total friggin' strangers to scream back all the stuff that we wrote down about our problems, and then they cared enough to learn it and have it mean something to them, and come and stand and sweat and potentially risk their health if there's still a pandemic, and come and yell at us. You know what I mean? That to me is the mark of making it. And if we can get to the top of that mountain, or to that plateau, I guess, of that mountain, to be able to say, like, okay, cool, like, but I like these guys and they're cool, you come with me, and be able to send that elevator back down, or send the rope back down the mountain, I guess, to continue that metaphor. But that really earnestly, and I don't know how to say it strongly enough without it sounding disingenuous, but that really is the goal of, like, I want to be successful enough that I could help other people be too, that my opinion matters enough that when I see some art that I love, I can show it to the world and they'll listen. So if that means I gotta help make the best goddamn music in the world until somebody listens to me, then, well, okay, so be it.
And I think that's great inspiration for you and for anybody else out there, man.
I hope so.
Thanks again, AJ, for joining me.
My pleasure,
I'm
man.
going to
Thank you
shout
for
out your
having me.
band.
Anytime.
Shout out any socials you want to right now. You have the opportunity.
We are Words Like Wildfire on Instagram, on Facebook, on Snapchat, I think I lied about Snapchat, but we're on TikTok as well. On Twitter, we are Words Like Fire, because there's a letter cap and we are too long. So it's Words Like Fire. We had to pick something, so I lost the wild. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We have new merch. If you want to support us or any band during this crazy time, the best way is to go buy something from them directly. To go get a shirt or a CD or a mug or whatever it is, that is the best way to do it, because none of us can go and do what we love to do and what makes us the most actual real income, which is go play live and go sell stuff directly to you and go see all your smiling faces and tell you how much we're thankful that you listen to us scream at you, and it's the best thing in the world. But we can't do it right now, and it sucks. So go buy a shirt, go buy a flag, go buy a mask, go buy whatever, and wear your goddamn mask in public, because the longer y'all don't wear masks, the longer it can be until we can have concerts again, and I'm sick and tired of it. I think that covers it.
Pretty much, I think. All right, man. Thank you for being here. I'm going to end on the Shake the Fear video.
It is my pleasure. I thank you very much for having us. You guys, if you like what you hear, if you want to hear more, go check us out. We are on all major streaming platforms. Go to wordslikeWildfire.com/shop for merch, or just wordslikeWildfire.com, and you can find all of the things we were just talking about. But this video is Shake the Fear. It's a lyric video. It's cool. Hopefully when we can get together with people, we'll make a real one. We'll get Kellin hanging out with us, make a real video. But
yeah, that'd be awesome.
Till then, here it is. Thanks for having me, sir. Really appreciate it.
No problem. See you later, man.
See you soon.